End of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, folks, if you look at that gigantic Sharp Interactive board, you're going to see a new face. And that face is Dave Lewis. And Dave Lewis is the CEO of SnailWorks. And SnailWorks is a software in the mailing industry. Dave is also the president of an organization called the MFSA, Mailers Fulfillment Services Association. And Dave and his team reached out to me a couple of months ago and they said, hey, Ray, do you want to do a keynote at our upcoming meeting in Dallas? And of course, I'm all in. I'm excited about that. But let's talk to Dave a little bit about SnailWorks, the MFSA, and then the big story, the United States Post Office and some of the issues they're going through. Dave, welcome to the End of the Day with Ray. It's great to have you on, man.
Hey, thanks, Ray. I'm happy to join you. This is an exciting time with the Postal Service, I guess. That's one way to put it.
Well, you know, a lot of my friends, your friends as well, they sell a lot of equipment to the mail shops. You know, sometimes the industries that sell the equipment to an industry that's being disrupted don't want it to be disrupted, but they can't help it because innovation and changes disrupt all industries. But, you know, Dave, tell us a little bit about SnailWorks, and then you kind of lead into the MFSA, and then we'll talk a little bit about the post office as we wrap this up.
Sure, I'm happy to do that. SnailWorks, and we've been around for, it was amazing, about 12 years now. But what we do is it sounds simple. We track mail as our main business, which is for people who are doing a lot of mailings and mail service providers, and a lot of printers do a lot of mail these days as well. And we follow it when it's put in the mail. We can sort of validate that mail was sent when it was supposed to be, and when it gets delivered. And that's more of an adventure all the time. As we always say, the Postal Service is the gift that keeps on giving if you're in the mail tracking business, because it's kind of unpredictable. Mm-hmm. So people use that information to coordinate other media, and really just for that nice, warm feeling sometimes to know their mail's getting delivered. And we do a lot of it. In 2024, we tracked about 4.4 billion pieces of mail.
Wow, that's a lot of mail. So, you know, Dave, I'm thinking if there is more pressure on the post office, you know, that one time they talked about maybe not delivered on Saturday, which I think a lot of people might agree, well, maybe that'll help cut some costs. But let's say that the more they change or tighten the delivery days, the more powerful that software probably becomes, because then people are going to really want to know where their mail's at.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's you know, if there's fewer delivery days involved, that's a big deal. During COVID, it was a big deal. People weren't sure what was going on with mail, so it was very valuable to them just to know that their mail was being delivered. And we could also show them they were getting mail back. A lot of nonprofits and people like that cared a lot about that as well.
So obviously you have the software. The software goes to the mail house. It's probably on some kind of QR code on the envelope or some kind of code on the envelope.
It's a little intelligent mail barcode at the bottom of the envelope. That's where it all gets tracked from. Okay. So if you look at a piece of mail, every mail's got that little barcode on it. It's like a license plate on the mail piece. Every mail piece has its own unique barcode on it.
Is there a way?
We're getting on that.
Is there a way to use that software in other applications? And are you guys looking at that as we see more disruption and innovation? I mean, can you use your software to do other things, or are you 100% right now in the mail space?
We're pretty much 100% in the mail space because we operate off of data that comes from the Postal Service. So we're real concerned that they be healthy. Mm-hmm. You know, there's talk about things like privatizing, and if other people start delivering mail, we're going to want to get that data to share that mm-hmm. too. And again, that'll be essential if it happens. We'll see. I'm not sure. I'm very skeptical that the Postal Service is going to privatize anytime soon, but we try to be flexible where we can.
Yeah, well, I guess the more options there are for mail, then the more people are going to want to follow it. But tell us about this MFSA and this upcoming meeting we're having in Dallas. But what's the association all about?
Absolutely. It's an association primarily of mail service providers. But as you know, mail service providers and printers, the lines are kind of blurred these days of what's who. There's mailers who print and printers who mail. And so MFSA is a group. It started in the Southwest, in the Dallas area, and it's still where most of the members are. And so it's a group of mailing companies, and they've gathered together a lot of sponsors who are interested in that. And the whole thing is for an annual conference where we discuss what's happening in mail in terms of the postal stuff, in terms of the technology. We have a technology panel this year about inkjet. It's really focusing on inkjet, and some of the providers there will be discussing that. and how to hire the next generation for your company, because that's like in a lot of industries, that's a big deal right now. We're getting old,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
finding that next generation is a big deal. So we get together for that. We have it's a party. I mean, I can't say that it's not that.
Hmm.
You know, Saturday night there's an award we give. We're changed the name this year to the Avers Family Award. A lot of people in the mailing business know Ruthie Avers and her family.
Hmm.
They've really been institutions, and so it's sort of a lifetime achievement award that somebody will win today. I know the winner, but it's a secret
Awesome.
until then. But we're doing that at a place called the Firehouse Gastro Park, which is just an amazing place. We're gonna have, and that's like the party part of it. We're gonna have live music,
Hmm.
and actually Willie Nelson's tour bus will be there to be used as a whiskey bar.
Oh, that's kind of cool. But he won't be there, will he?
Thank you, IRS, I think is where that came from. I think Willie got paid off a little of his debt to the IRS with
That's
that.
funny.
So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of information. This year it's a particularly big deal
Hmm.
because we have some of the real experts on the Postal Service who are going to be there talking about all the things that are happening in the Postal Service
Hmm.
right now. So I think it's a big year for people to attend.
Well, I think, Dave, the mail industry is very similar to the print industry. Obviously, we're kind of tied together, sister industries, if you will. But the folks that are out there selling businesses print, the folks that are out there collecting mail from businesses to distribute that mail in an analog fashion, if you will, is all under pressure. Digitalization is all anybody wants to talk about. We're hearing a lot with AI, and I think AI is just going to create better lists for mailers. I still believe the volumes will go down per piece, but they'll be so much more accurate. So they might do more pieces. So it'll be an interesting, next decade. And I agree with you. How do you bring in the younger generation? How do you bring them into our channel to go out and sell office printing? And how do you bring them into a mail shop, if you will? And what are the innovations going to be around those mail centers? And what are the innovations going to be around the equipment itself? And I'm looking forward to it. But I got to ask you a question, Dave, because you guys are you're kind of a sister industry to us. But how did you find me? What made you go, hey, end of the day with Ray, you want to come and do a keynote at our meeting?
Well, I've been watching you on YouTube for a long time and always enjoyed it. You shoot straight. You're taught, like you said, the industries are still married together.
Mm-hmm.
And so the insights that you have on the equipment, and we use the same equipment, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's copier equipment or whether it's industrial scale in a mail shop. We're using the same kind of equipment. There's a lot of interest in that and where that industry is, because what happens to printing absolutely plays into what
Mm-hmm.
happens to mailing. And as I said, the two cross paths an awful lot these days. We have a inkjet, especially digital printing has
Mm-hmm.
totally changed the mailing industry now.
Well,
Every
inkjet.
piece is
You
unique.
brought up inkjet. You got people talking about inkjet. I've been beating on the whole industry. We need to take inkjet into the businesses, and because it is a better experience, I believe. But the other piece of that, and I always tell my friends that are in that graphic industrial print space that if the OEMs that make those high end equipment don't make the equipment for the offices, or that reduces to a point where it's painful, it's hard for them to have the money to make the graphic stuff. It's all tied together. And so we have to, we really have to watch it. And a lot of these folks, some of these OEMs, that graphics space for them is not very profitable, not near as profitable as their core, that A3, A4 in the businesses. So they are definitely tied together. We are going to see a shift from laser to inkjet. I'm super excited to hear the people talk about that. But I'm excited about it. Is there anything you want to add? I mean, let's think this post office real quick. What can we tell these people? Should they worry their mail's not going to show up?
Yeah, the mail's going to show up. I wouldn't worry about that. It's interesting mail because like you said, mail. If you look at it, the volume has declined in the
Mm-hmm.
past, I guess, 20 years
Mm-hmm.
almost now. Since 2006, it really started to drop. But most of the drop has been transactional first class mail. Marketing mail has done okay. It's had a decline, but it's having a little bit of a renaissance right now.
Mm-hmm.
Political mail has been growing every election since 2020
Mm-hmm.
because if you want to buy commercials for the 2026 right now, for the 2026 election, if you want to buy your candidates commercials on TV, they're sold out.
Mm-hmm.
Mail never sells out. The digital channels are cluttered. A piece of mail does really stand out. So I think mail still it's doing okay. It's still a valid way of going. The Postal Service is always a little bit of an adventure. And a big part of my job, I watch all the mail, and we publish a thing every Monday morning on LinkedIn. We publish the U.S. Postal Traffic Report, where we show how mail performed the week before, how fast it was getting delivered, and it's been going down. There's no doubt about it. It has slowed down in the last couple of years, but although that's distressing at one level, it doesn't make it not a viable channel. Again, as I always tell people, they want to make sure to track it so they know when their mail is getting delivered. That's what really matters. But yeah, as you know, the Postmaster General, who's been kind of tough and raising prices a lot, that's probably been the biggest impact on the industry. And he has said that he's ready to resign. He's done. He's put in his 5 years, and he was an earnest, hardworking guy. I'm not sure I always liked the direction he went. There's been talk about by the president about bringing the postal services into the Department of Commerce and things like that. Very unlikely stuff to happen, but we keep our. It's not going to stop the mail from getting delivered. It just kind of changes the business dynamics on. So we're watching it closely.
Well, there's no industry that's not going to escape innovation. It doesn't mean that and I think some of the innovation in the mail business will be powerful. Like I said, I think AI will bring us lists that are so freaking accurate, and we'll know who to send the donation piece to, if you will, or we'll know who to send this marketing piece to, if you will, just like they can in a social landscape. And, how do those two interact? I still think the digital world and that physical world of analog mail is going to get a lot more interactive,
Yeah, no, I think so. And I think, direct mail right now, and a lot of what we do is the growing portion of our business is creating unique URLs and QR codes to put on mail pieces. So when you click a QR code, it's not that everyone gets their own QR code and it takes them to a personalized page. So it really is an important part to tie together the mail to the digital end of it, because commerce happens on the web. That's where the transaction happens these days. But someone's got to get them there, and that's where mail. And nice thing, you don't need permission to send somebody mail.
No.
The Postal Service, they're real good sports. You put a stamp on it, they'll deliver it.
Yeah.
You don't need. So maybe you get to meet somebody new.
It's an ever-changing world that we all live in. That's for sure. And Dave, I am so excited to go down there in Dallas at the end of the month and meet the team and I think we'll have a lot of fun together. I'm looking forward to learning a lot that I don't know about this industry. I've spent some time in it. I know a little bit about it, but we are an ever-changing world. Things change constantly. So, Dave, I appreciate you coming on the show, and I'll see you in about 3 weeks, I guess, down there in Dallas.
That's right. We're excited to see you, and I appreciate you coming.
Because everybody that watches me knows this: status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck there, and I'll see you all tomorrow.